Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but you don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? And how often do you think about it? The team at JPEX Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies, doing the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident with your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website or give us a call at 860-430-5397.
Turn it up, turn it up. Turn it up, 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 turn it up.
To the CMG Sports NFL Week 16 pregame show. I'm Joe Aguirre, joined by Obi Muniz, Sander Arroyo Sanchez, and Sean Scanlon. We're going to start things off. We'll recap the Thursday night game. Titans beat the Niners on a field goal late. Here's how it went down. Monster game from A.J. Brown, fresh off the IL. 49ers, everywhere I've heard, read, seen, Sean, they want to run Jimmy G out of town after this one. The Niners are still very much in it, and I think can still make a really great run. Why is everybody down on Jimmy G for a couple mistakes, but otherwise a good game, 322 yards passing?
Yeah, I've never been a huge Jimmy G fan, but his stretch before this game, he was doing really good. He's had really good games before this, so I think it's a little bit of an overreaction. Obviously, the 2 turnovers were huge in this game, but he did leave them right down the field and hit Brandon Ayuk to tie up the game late. So he brought them back in the game. Obviously, 2 turnovers hurt, but his stretch before this was really good. So I don't think, you should throw in Trey Lance at this point. Obviously, he's a rookie that hasn't had a lot of time. Jimmy G is a veteran who, has brought this team to a Super Bowl before. So I think he'll be able to figure it out. And this Niners team, obviously, the Titans, they might not get a lot of respect because most of their offensive playmakers have been hurt, but they're still a really good team who is at the top of the AFC South. There's a reason, that they're in playoff contention every year since Mike Vrabel's got there. So it's obviously a tough loss, but like you said, the Niners are still in it. The NFC wildcard race is pretty weak. Obviously, there's going to be a team that's probably either 500 or maybe even a game under 500. So I think the Niners are still right in it. And the way that Jimmy G had been playing before that, I think that, it happens every once in a while where you're going to have a game like this. So I think it's a little bit of overreaction that they should be running him out of town at this point.
Sander, how is the Titans continuing to win games? Obviously, A.J. Brown came back, great game, but Ryan Tannehill's another guy. I feel like just as soon as those guys went down, the assumption was they're toast. Hasn't worked out that way.
Well, it all comes down to the great coaching. Mike Vrabel has this team coached very, very well, and it really shows when they lost their major weapons. A lot of teams lose a weapon like a Derrick Henry, and they just tank because they know they're not going to be able to hang. But the Titans and Mike Vrabel, he's instilled in them just this culture of toughness and next man up, and letting it be known that they're still one of the teams to beat in the AFC. Mind you, this is a team that's been in a top 5 seed almost all year. And even when Derrick Henry went down and Julio obviously hasn't been the Julio of old, A.J. Brown fighting injuries left and right, it was literally up until that game where A.J. Brown decided to be able to play, because he was questionable all week. If you have him on fantasy, you've been looking, so you've been paying attention. He's been questionable all week, and he came out to play. And to your point, Joe, he balled out. He showed that he was one of the best players on the field when he was on the field. And, the Titans, they really just took advantage of that situation. And, Joe, I'm not saying that Jimmy G is horrible. I'm not saying Jimmy G is terrible. I think Jimmy G is a very good, serviceable quarterback in this league. But those two mistakes are the type of mistakes that San Francisco fans are dying to get rid of, because those two mistakes are mistakes that costed them the game. Granted, they only lost by 3, but I feel like those drives where those picks were thrown, they were moving, they were pushing the football, and Jimmy G made mistakes, but they were dumb mistakes, throwing the ball over receivers, throwing into tight coverages where he knows he's not that guy to make that throw. We all saw in the Super Bowl, he missed that big throw that could have had them as Super Bowl champions. He's just not that guy to make always the right throw. So I think that's where the little bit of the hatred is coming towards Jimmy G, because when you really need him to make that throw, he just doesn't make it. And he showed you twice in that game with those stupid mistakes, throwing into covered tight ends, covered receivers, just not smart decisions whatsoever with the ball. On the other hand, though, Joe, the 49ers still are in a good place, because I feel like they still can make a run as well. I think, though, that this was more of the Titans showing that they're the better team. They're the better coach team, and they're fighting for that number 1 playoff spot in the AFC still. They're still in there running for that number 1 seed. So I think we should pump the brakes on trying to run Garoppolo off the field, at least for this season, because Trey Lance is still learning. He hasn't really done much this season, but I feel like Trey Lance, they're trying to take that Patrick Mahomes approach, let him rest or teach him as much as you can for next season. Because Jimmy G, quite frankly, guys, he's not the cornerstone of this franchise. Many people will say there's about 3-4 things that you'll get to before you get to Jimmy G. So they know that. They know what they got in Jimmy G, a guy that can get you there, but is not going to take you to the very next level. But still, it was a great game nonetheless.
All right, OV, the Niners lose. Dallas clinches a playoff spot as a result. The Titans win. Had the Colts lost, they would have clinched the AFC South.
South. Yes,
Yeah.
South.
So it gets
You're
all
right
so
there.
confusing. Yeah. Listen, obviously not what the Niners needed. Which of these teams is making the postseason? Titans, Niners, both? How do you see it?
I see both. Well, right now, if you're looking at the Tennessee Titans, their next game is against the Dolphins and the Texans. I'd say, you know what? Those games, they're going to beat the Dolphins to clinch the AFC South, and then they're going to be halfway through that game with the Texans. They're going to put on their second string, and then there you go. So the Titans are set where they're at.
I think the Titans more.
The Titans are, but the 49ers are going to make it, and I'll tell you why. They've lost against teams that are going to go into the playoffs. Okay. Their next 2 games will be, if I'm not mistaken, I even lost my track. Oh yeah, they play the Texans. They play the Texans, and then their last game, they're going to play the Rams. And I think by that time, when they play the Rams, we're going to see the playoff picture cleared up, and the 49ers are going to probably be finishing on the 7th seed. That's my prediction.
The only reason why I push back on that is because at least with the Titans, I think the Titans have a better shot to making it than the Niners, because the Titans, at least, they lead their division. The 49ers are in 3rd place in that division. They're
right.
fighting.
But all 3 teams are going to make it to the playoffs.
think the
I
Titans
mean,
have a slightly better
are you
shot.
going to bet your money on the Vikings, the Eagles, the Saints? We don't even know what type of teams they are going through.
Listen,
You know what I mean?
the Titans definitely have a better chance, but I mean, I think the Niners, despite this loss, still pretty much are in the driver's seat for that last spot. All right, speaking of, listen, the Colts last night shorthanded on the road against one of the best teams in the NFC. How did it go? Like that. 108 yards on the ground for Jonathan Taylor. Didn't get into the end zone, but this undermanned, shorthanded Colts team on the road against Arizona with a huge win, Sander. Again, this certainly could have changed the tide for both teams. Both these teams needed to win, probably the Colts more just to stay alive, but bad news for both teams. Well, say bad news for both teams. Big win for the Colts, and obviously the Cardinals, 3 losses in a row. Things not looking good out in the desert.
Yeah, and including one of those losses to the Detroit Lions. Let's not forget about that. And they got spanked in that game. So right now, the Cardinals are starting to feel like they're the Cardinals of old. Start off hot, be, mid-season looking like a contender, and then towards the end of the season, they just fizzle out. And this happens time and time and time again. I don't expect them to fizzle out completely this season. I still expect them to make the playoffs. But I'll tell you this right now. Going into next week, a Dallas Cowboys fan, I'm not afraid of the Cardinals as I once was before. Like, looking at them earlier in the season, they were looking like, damn, they could really make a title run. They could literally legit look like they look like Super Bowl contenders for real. I still think they can reach the Super Bowl because they are one of the better teams in the NFC. But they don't put as much fear as before. I mean, the Colts really ran the ball through them, and that's really the only chance that they had. I saw a few plays by Carson Wentz where it's like, like he got out the pocket and he was running, and I felt like he was running. He looked like he was 300, 400 pounds running, trying to get out to the outside and got sacked. It wasn't a pretty game whatsoever. But the Colts, they never been known this season for winning pretty games. Their defense and run the ball. And when they made it ugly, when they made it gritty, the Colts are the matchup to look at in these type of games, and they showed out. Jonathan Taylor, I know he didn't touch the end zone, Joe, but he got over 100 rushing yards again. And there was this stat that they put up that the Colts are now 9-0 whenever Jonathan Taylor touches 100-plus yards running the ball. So that's the recipe to success for the Colts. Keep on doing it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You obviously don't need Carson Wentz to throw for 300, 400 yards to win a game. We already know that. So the fact that the Colts know what they got to do to win the game, and they literally do it and they win, it kind of like tells you as a fan, like, damn, Cardinals, they're going to run the ball. The game is going to go through Jonathan Taylor. If you slow him down, they lose the game, and they didn't. They could contain him as much as they could, but, like the stat said, they're 9-0 now whenever Jonathan Taylor touches over 100 yards rushing. And they're just really, really well defensively coached as well. Like, that defense from the Colts, they're very opportunistic. They rank in the tops in takeaways. I think they're first or second in takeaways with like 29. So this Colts team right now is scary. They've won 2 games in a row that we thought, were kind of iffy for them. When they beat the Patriots coming off that bye, that was a pretty big win for them. And beating the Cardinals, a top team in the NFC that, everybody in the NFC is looking at because, the Cowboys, after that loss, we are secure. Like, right now, we hold the 2nd seed, and we're in the driver's seat in the 2nd seed. We're really only second to the Packers if, the Packers let up. But that's a big loss for the Cardinals because this is a team that year after year, they're known for fizzling out, and they're starting to fizzle out, and the pressure is accumulating. Like, Kyler Murray yesterday didn't look like himself, especially when he's pressured. He had a throw where he's running backwards, and he threw the ball, and I think it's because he's so small. I think he doesn't have that arm strength to get the ball that there all the time. And it just shows, man. I think the Cardinals right now, they have to hit the panic button. These last two games, they better win because right now they're stumbling into the playoffs. And teams that stumble into the playoffs usually don't go far.
Ovi, I realize this offense runs through Jonathan Taylor. Can Carson Wentz be good enough to take this team to a Super Bowl?
If that offensive line could protect him, then I say yes. But I don't trust Wentz. I think he's still going to make those out of the ordinary throws that's going to cost the team. Compared to the Chiefs, I like that comparison because they're getting hot at the right time, right? The defense are getting better and everything else. But my thing is that if you
Chiefs
see
got
the
Mahomes,
Cardinals
man.
defense putting that pressure when he's throwing the ball too quick, and sometimes he's running out of look. I'm gonna tell you what, I think that one of the throws that he threw to the end zone, I thought his eyes was closed, right? He just got lucky. But I think listen, I don't think he's going to take the team all the way to the promised land, and not this season. I think they need more protection for Wentz, so he has more time in the pocket. I know he likes to run around, but if that run that Jonathan Taylor, if he could be consistent enough, I believe that they can at least reach to the AFC Championship.
Okay, they missed 4 out of 5 starting linemen that game, right?
Right, and I'm just saying, look, they did all right for what they had, right? And once those guys come back, but at the same time, Wentz does have a habit of making poor decisions. That's
right.
my thing.
Sean, let me ask you this. Sander alluded to it. Is this the Cardinals just being the Cardinals in a typical Cardinal sort of year? What's wrong with this team? Can this team turn it around? And I hate to say this, but at 10-5, are they done?
Unfortunately, I do think that they're done. I mean, we've seen this before. Last season, they got off to a hot start. Not obviously 10-2 like they did this season, but then they kind of fizzled out in November and December. They're missing 2 of their best playmakers on offense right now. Obviously, DeAndre Hopkins, one of the best receivers in the league. Even though he's not having a great year for his standards, he's still the best target on the offense. James Conner, who really, has stepped up this year. He's been dominant rushing the ball, especially in the red zone. I think that they missed him a lot. And this defense, they were really good, through the first half of the season. They've kind of tailed off a little bit lately. Their pass rush hasn't been as great. The secondary has been, kind of getting exposed a little bit. So it's just not looking great for them. They kind of remind me like the Steelers from last year and the Patriots from the year before, where they got off to this great start. They didn't have a lot of, super high quality wins. And then, when it comes down the stretch, they're kind of, losing these big games. And like Sander said, you don't want to be one of those teams that's, trending in a downward trajectory going into the playoffs, because, it usually doesn't end great for those teams. Maybe they win one game, get to the divisional round, but usually it doesn't go much farther after that. So I definitely don't feel great about the Cardinals' chances right now, especially with teams like the Packers and the Buccaneers and the Cowboys in the NFC. So I don't think it's looking great for their Super Bowl chances right now.
All right, one more game we got to recap. It was a game where Brett Favre became the all-time passing touchdown leader in Packers history, and one
Rodgers?
where Baker. What I just say?
Brett Favre, not
you said
anymore.
Brett Favre.
In my head, yes, he broke Brett Favre's record last night to become the greatest quarterback in Green Bay history. So congratulations to Aaron Rodgers. Meanwhile, Baker Mayfield played like Baker Mayfield. The difference in quarterbacks was pretty glaring in this 24-22 win. Stunned that they were able to keep it this close, but Baker with 43 seconds to go threw his 4th and final interception of the day. Sean, I'll start with you on this because I think the question begs to be asked. The defense hasn't played great for the Browns for whatever reason from what the expectations were when this season started. The run games obviously had injuries with Chubb and Hunt, but even when these guys have all been in there, with Landry's been in there, Baker Mayfield, I look legit when you look at the top 15 teams in the NFL, good quality teams. I think that is the one team where you could literally go, quarterback needs to be changed ASAP if this team wants to get to the next level. Am I right or am I wrong? And what do you think the Browns are going to do?
You're absolutely right. I mean, if you look at the talent around this team, it is insane. I mean, their offensive line is one of the best in the league. They have loaded talent on defense. Obviously, they have probably the best running back combo in the league, and they also have Jarvis Landry. So I think they do need to switch it up. Baker Mayfield was obviously their number one pick last year. You know, he brought them to the playoffs, but it's been pretty lousy other than that. And I think everyone owes Odell Beckham an apology. We see that he's been doing great in the Rams. I think Baker Mayfield is what was holding them back in that offense. And I think they do need to switch it up because this is a team that could be Super Bowl contenders year in and year out with the talent that they have in that team. I think Kevin Stefanski is a good coach, but I do think that Baker Mayfield is the one thing that's holding them back. So I do think that they still have a chance at the playoffs. Obviously, they got to win out down the stretch, but because the AFC playoff race is super jumbled right now. All those teams 5 through like 11 or 10 are, pretty much all around the same record. So they have 2 big division games down the stretch where they got to win, but it's definitely not looking great. I think that they had a chance to win last night against one of the best teams in the NFL. Their defense held up pretty good in the second half, but like you said, four interceptions from your quarterback is never a winning recipe, and we saw that last night, especially when you're playing a team like the Packers.
Yeah, rare you're going to beat the Packers with Aaron Rodgers if you throw 4 picks, especially, Sander, this guy is, when the season started, they had a rough week 1. It seemed to me like he wanted to be hosting Jeopardy and maybe living in Hollywood, and maybe he did not just want to play for the Packers, but for anybody for that matter. I was wrong. The guy's having another MVP season. How great is this guy, and is he going to the Super Bowl this year?
No, he's not going to the Super Bowl, Joe, because my Cowboys are going to beat him, bro. So I'm messing with you.
Oh, my God.
I'm just messing with you guys, all right? Nah, man,
you were serious.
He is as live as he's ever been for a Super Bowl spot. Like, the Packers are clicking, both defensively and offensively. And, when he came off that off season, basically just wanting to do Jeopardy and just on the beach with his beautiful wife and all that, we were expecting, the Packers might not do nothing this year, especially if they got to go with Jordan Love. But Aaron Rodgers wiped all that. Like he said a few years ago, RELAX, relax. You know what I'm saying? He's definitely in the running for MVP right now. He's been playing phenomenal. He's been playing shutout. He's beating the top teams in the NFC and in the AFC. I just think right now the Packers they're the best team far and above any NFC team. That's including my Cowboys right now. The quarterback play is phenomenal. And Joe, when you do pick off a team 4 times, I don't expect you to win 24-22. I was a little disappointed in the Packers not being able to put this one away, far away. But that just goes to show you, I guess the Browns do have enough fight in them. And it sucks because the Browns, you're 100% right, Joe. After this season, I feel like it is Baker Mayfield, 100% Baker Mayfield that's holding this team back. You plug in a superstar quarterback in there, and they're off to the races. So I'm just not too happy with the Browns this year. Such a disappointment after the season they gave us last season. Aaron Rodgers, though, Joe, he's a bad man. We all know that. It was bound to happen. I don't know if after his little debacle with with being immunized that might keep him from winning the MVP. They might give it to someone else just in spite him. But if he wins MVP, that's a big FU to Roger Goodell and all the haters that had the Packers. Even if Aaron Rodgers came back, I believe after week 1, there was a lot of people saying, "Damn, this team might struggle. They might make the playoffs, but that's it. They might not do nothing." And ever since week 1, he's shut us up and showed us that they're legit. They are every bit as live in the NFC as any other team. And right now, I kind of have them favored in the NFC, to be quite frankly. I have them favored over Arizona, over the Buccaneers, over the Cowboys. I have the Packers favored to come out the NFC right now. And their play says it all, Joe. Their play says it. So there's no argument against it.
Ovi, they're probably one of the most complete teams in the league. What is the Green Bay Packers' biggest weakness or How do you exploit and beat the Green Bay Packers, which is obviously they're the team to beat, I think, going into the NFC playoffs here. What are you thinking?
Well, they need to stop being afraid of playing the Packers. And I'm gonna say, I'll tell you, I'll give you a reason. The Ravens didn't want to go to overtime against the Packers, right? And they went for a 2-point conversion. Well, guess what? Analytics state that you suck at a 2-point conversion. I've seen it back-to-back weeks with the Ravens. Why would you do that? All right. You did it with your star quarterback, didn't work. You got a backup quarterback, didn't work. Now you're going to have a third-string quarterback to start. But right. But look at this. They ever since they lost to the Vikings 34-31. All right. They won 4 straight, but their defense are giving up a lot of points. They give up 28 points from the Rams, 30 points from the Bears. The Bears, okay?
Yeah,
then the Ravens, it was 31-30. Then the Browns, they won by 2 points after they, like Sanders said, look, 4 turnovers. You pick them 4 times and you only beat them by 2 points.
Yeah.
Something's not right. And please don't tell me, oh, well, this Aaron Rodgers stuff, because look, Aaron Rodgers can be taken out of the equation. I do not have the Packers in the Super Bowl. I have the Los Angeles Rams going to the Super Bowl. That is the team. Now, they don't look all right now, all right? But they're going to get there. And when the playoff starts, that's where, well, what is the kryptonite of Aaron Rodgers going to kick in? And he going to make it to the NFC Championship just to lose again. I'm not sold on this crap. I'm not sold of Aaron Rodgers being that, the offseason drama where you took away from the NFL draft. I'm not sold because you had everyone convinced you were, immunized or whatever the words that he used. All that smirking and smiling that he does on the post games. You know what? I'm gonna keep it PG. But anyways, no, maybe I'm beginning to be a hater of the Green Bay Packers. All right,
just
so I'll be a hater.
Bit, OB, just a little bit. I mean, the last 3 years,
the team that's going to represent is coming from the NFC West, and right now the Rams are the team. Now, don't disrespect the Buccaneers, of course, but I think the Bucks' time is running out too. So I got the Rams and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Ooh, all right, I like it. Still to come, we're going to talk Chargers, Texans, Steelers, Chiefs, Ravens, Bengals, that big game in New England with the Pats and the Bills. Ooh, and we'll take a preview on the Monday night. Yeah. That's coming up next on the CMG Sports NFL pregame show.
So, Jess, why did you become a realtor?
I worked in various customer service jobs, so I wanted something a little bit more rewarding. Becoming a real estate agent, being able to help people find their forever homes or their investment homes, starter homes. It's very exciting, so a lot of fun.
Now, you've gotten off to a really good start in your real estate career. What has been the most rewarding part of this for you so far?
Helping people, especially like first-time home buyers, finding their first home. They're so excited. I'm so excited to help them. So it's a nice, rewarding part.
What is it that you think makes you different than other real estate agents?
I think that my various roles in customer service has helped me. So I like to ask a lot of questions and I want to know what I'm doing. So I think that helps a lot because I'm not going to steer people the wrong way. I'm going to make sure they have knowledgeable decisions and help them find the right home.
Last thing I'm going to ask you is, and I know these are words that you live by, but the mantra at CTBB Realty is?
People over paychecks and do the damn thing.
And that's what we do.
All right, before we get into this Chargers-Texans game, Raily Barrett-Valdez did our team profile on the Los Angeles Chargers.
This week, my spotlight is going to be the LA Chargers, a young team on the come-up. So let's break it down, starting with the defensive side of the ball. Now, the Chargers' overall defense is ranked 27th. However, they are ranked 15th in points allowed, 16th in interceptions. They're ranked 11th in overall forced turnovers, 9th in passing yards allowed, and 6th in completion percentage allowed. Now, defensively, this team knows how to stop the passing game. That's something they live for. And obviously, when you have a guy like Chris Harris Jr., who is one of your best cornerbacks and basically covering the number ones, that's going to help you a lot. It's going to help you immensely. Then obviously you have Darwin James as your safety. So in terms of the passing game, this team really knows how to get it together. However, their flaw and their biggest weakness is stopping the run game. This is a team that also struggles in the red zone because the teams they play against, they run in the red zone and they're just shoving the ball down their throat, which then they cannot stop, which now leads to why this team is just kind of looked at as inconsistent. Obviously, when you have an edge like Joey Bosa, that should be enough. However, there's a lot of times that he's being doubled, and a couple of times he's even been triple teamed. And when you see that, you now kind of need the other linemen to step up. And unfortunately, this year, it's been very tough for them to have a lineman step up consistently enough to help them stop the run. But this is a defense you still need to worry about, because even if they just learn how to stop the run, even just half the time, if they become just a middle of the pack team, this defense will be very dangerous, because in terms of the passing game, they already handled that well. So if you just become a middle of the pack team in terms of stopping the run, this defense would be legit. But that's enough about defense. Let's look at the offensive side of the ball. Now, the Chargers offense overall rank is 9th. They're ranked 7th in points scored, 5th in overall yards. They're ranked 3rd in passing touchdowns, 2nd in overall touchdowns scored, and they're ranked 1st in red zone touchdowns. Now, obviously, this offense is led by Justin Herbert, a young kid who loves to fling the ball. He's just a young gunslinger. You have Austin Eckler coming out of the backfield, and even though he's going to be missing their upcoming game, you still have Justin Jackson, who, for a backup, is playing pretty well. He's showing that he could be a guy to kind of hold it down a little bit while Austin Eckler gets back. You're also looking at a guy like Keenan Allen, who is an elite receiver in this game. You still have Jared Cook, who, albeit he's not a phenomenal tight end, but he still is a good one in this league. This offense will literally score from anywhere. And that's kind of what's very exciting about this team, because, again, when you have two running backs that they can both catch and they can run, you have a Keenan Allen who can go up there and get those balls. And on top of that, you even have young guys like Guyton who can, when people start sleeping on him, that's when he's actually most dangerous. It's very dangerous because they can run, they can pass, and they can pretty much do it all. So this offense is something you definitely need to be careful if anyone meets them in the playoffs. So that was my spotlight. The LA Chargers, a young team who is here to make big noise. You can follow my podcast, the Prideful Takes Podcast. I go live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. I talk about all things sports, and I'm also interactive. So if you guys want to come out here and yell at me and saying I'm wrong, I'm all for it, and I love to hear it. But that's enough for me. I hope everyone had a very merry and safe Christmas. Back to you guys in the studio.
He definitely gives a lot of opportunities for that.
He gives an opportunity for me to yell at him. Yeah, absolutely.
Big thank you to Riley. Let's talk about this, boys. First and foremost, Sean, you just heard the profile. I know how good this Chargers team is, as well as they do in the red zone. How come this team doesn't win way more games than they lose? I can't understand that.
Yeah, they haven't been great in close games. I know that, Brandon Staley loves going for 4th down. That's obviously he can't help himself, really. It doesn't matter the down and distance. It could be 4th and 7, 4th and 8. It doesn't matter. He's going for it. He loves it. He's just an adrenaline junkie that can't help himself. But sometimes it helps him, sometimes it hurts them. But I think this game will be easy for them, though. The Texans, obviously not a lot to play for. Davis Mills hasn't looked that bad.
Look at Ovi. Look at Ovi. You better chill, Sean. Look at Ovi.
You're about to be on my hot wheel. You're going to be on my highlight reel pretty soon.
Sean, finish what you're saying, and I'll allow Ovi to explain the madness that's about to come out of his mouth.
Yeah, I mean, I might pick some underdogs this week, but Texans definitely aren't one of them.
Not going to be one of them.
I mean, being without Austin Eckler might hurt their offense a little bit. Obviously, he's huge in not just the running game, but the receiving game as well. But I think Justin Herbert, it definitely has enough weapons around him with Keenan Allen, Jared Cook, like Riley was saying. And this defense, they're good against the pass, like Riley was saying again, too. And I just don't think the Texans running game will have enough to, go up against a bad rushing defense. So, definitely not one I would pick the Texans for. I'd like to hear Ovi's reasoning behind that.
In a moment, I'm going to ask Sander about the Texans and their future, what they need to do to fix that team. But Obi thinks they're fine just the way they are. Obi,
Go ahead,
No, I didn't
let's
say
hear
they're
this.
fine.
No,
But
I'm just playing.
the
I'm
one
just joking.
comment he said was it should be an easy game. Well, the Packers should have had an easy game against the Browns, and it didn't happen, right? So I'm not sold, especially when there's a 12-point spread, being that it is week 16. Okay, it's week 16. You don't ever know what you're gonna see out of these games anymore. What you think is gonna be a blowout is not gonna be a blowout. So if you're betting on the Chargers on a -12, I think you should save that money for another game. However, I do believe that the Chargers are going to win, but I'm not sold on that passing game because, listen, they got destroyed by the Chiefs, and the one thing that they weak on is guarding the tight ends. That's what's killing the Chargers. And I applaud Sean for saying about the coaching staff. Listen, the Chargers could have been at least maybe 11 wins right now, but because he wants to go for fourth down, he thinks he's playing John Madden game. This is not a Madden game. Okay, they need to stop that BS already. You had a chance to be close to the number 1 seed, and you blew it because you want to go on fourth down or go for 2-point conversion. Stop it. You're playing to go to the playoffs. If you were like the Texans that's 3-11, I'll say, just go for it. I'll go for it in my own 20-yard line. But that's the problem with the Chargers, and that's why they're not going far. And that's why they're behind the Chiefs and always will be if they have that same mentality. They want to be tough, but there's a difference between being tough and being smart.
Well, also Ovi, I feel like Staley's a first-time coach for the Chargers. He's a first-time coaching. I feel like this is a lot of those mistakes that coaches are going to learn along the way. I feel like next year, I feel like Staley will be better as a head coach for the Chargers. Have him making less mistakes. But I put some of it also on Herbert as well. Joe, you and I talked on the last show about Herbert definitely deserving some of the credit for some of the Chargers' failures. We get it. You got a rocket arm. We get it. You could throw it with the best of them, blow for blow. We get it, bro. But sometimes we need you to make the smarter decision instead of the decision that's going to pay with the more higher risk, high payoff. Go with the smarter decision, man, because I could tell you, man, they are 8-6, but I'm with you, Obi. They could easily have 11, 12 win games if they made smarter decisions with the football. But, I feel like I'm not going to use this as an excuse for Herbert because, Joe, there's no excuses for some of the mistakes that these guys make. I just feel like he is learning. And I feel like, year 3, I feel like he'll be even more polished. A lot of those mistakes will be gone because he's still getting used to the speed of the NFL game, I feel like. And out of all the rookies that came out of his class, we all seen them. Herbert looks above and beyond all the rest of them, but he still is learning. It's only his second year, so I'm not going to fault him too much for his mistakes. I feel like year 4, 5, maybe even 6, if Herbert is still the same guy that he is right now, then he's just going to be the Herbert that we know and see, a gunslinger that doesn't know how to win the big games. But, Ovi, I'm 100% with you. Sean, this is not an easy win, bro, especially this time of the year. Teams are trying to play spoiler because the Texans, they are out of it. We all know they've been out of it for the past 3 weeks, and the Chargers are still fighting for a playoff spot. Texans, when they play spoilers, look at their record when they play spoilers because they've been playing spoilers for a lot of years now, and they like to ruin some parties. So I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to beat the Chargers, but they ain't beating it. They're not going to lose by 12. I just don't believe that.
Yeah,
One other note.
I wouldn't take them with the spread, but I still think it's going to be an easy.
No, they
listen,
might beat them by the spread, but the thing is, if you look at the pattern for the last 5 weeks, that defense somehow run out of gas in the fourth quarter. Look what happened with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They had the Steelers blown out. The Steelers came back, even though they won 41-37. Look at the game with the New York Giants. I mean, you're allowing the Giants score 21 points. I mean, what type of defense? The offense, they're solid. They're going to score. But what about that defense? They're suspect.
Didn't they allow like 50-something points to the Browns that back and forth game a few weeks ago? I mean, that defense, I don't know what Pride was talking about. That defense is not good. Not good whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? They got a few good stars on that defense, like Bosa and I forgot the safety's name. Derwin James. But
to me, they're a lot like the Titans defense in that they'll give up points, they'll give up yards. They tend to make the stops that they need to make. Not so much in
Yeah.
the red zone late. That's another place I think the Chargers have struggled, but that's
Yeah,
that's
I
for
don't see them
another
getting
day.
to. I don't see them getting to the quarterback either, Joe. I don't see the Chargers really like rushing the quarterback either. And in this league, especially this time of the year, you need to rush the quarterback to be successful.
This one might be close. I still think 38-0 is certainly a reasonable score as well, because the
Yeah.
Texans, unfortunately, are god awful. Now, speaking of, look, Steelers, Chiefs, this game takes obviously very different than if things would have gone differently in overtime last week for the Chargers, who it would be really tough at this point. They have to win out, and the Chiefs would have to lose out for them to come back to win this division. If they ended a tie, obviously that's not going to work for them either. This team got off to a terrible start, and many wrote them off. And then we were reminded that they've got that quarterback, and he's really good, and the defense has turned it around. Steve Risser from Sports Talk with R&J, he's got our player profile this week on Patrick Mahomes.
Hello, everyone. This is Steve Versus, the host of Sports Talk with R&J, and today my player profile is on Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes already has the resume of an all-time great. He's been an All-Pro 2 times. He's already been named MVP, and most importantly, he has won a Super Bowl. Mahomes is one of the best because of his mobility, his arm strength, and he's good at the line of scrimmage. In his first full year as a starter, Mahomes had a monster year. He threw for 50 touchdown passes and led the Chiefs to the AFC Championship game. The following year, he led the Chiefs to a Super Bowl championship, and he made one of the best plays in Super Bowl history when he connected with Tyreek Hill on a 3rd and 15, and that play completely turned the game around. This year, Mahomes has the Chiefs at 10-4 and in great position to get to the Super Bowl for the 3rd year in a row, and he should lead the Chiefs to win number 11 today over the Steelers.
All right, OV, you and I are Giants fans. Steve
Yes, we are.
Spagnuolo, we love that guy.
Yes.
Great defense. And he's known for this, though. His defenses get off to terrible starts. And my thought is, to avoid that, maybe Steve Spagnuolo's defenses should come to training camp 6 weeks earlier than everyone else. Just so by the time everybody shows up that they're maybe finally getting into their groove. Obi, is this one of the best turnarounds you've ever seen from a team that was basically written off for dead?
Yes, I do. I think they're written off for dead because of what Patrick Mahomes was doing. The focus was on him. No one was talking about the defense. So at the time, throughout the season, that defense was getting better and better. No one's talking until now, right? They went 5 straight weeks giving up 2 touchdowns or less, right? Most of these teams were just kicking field goals or try to go for 4th down, right? And they were unsuccessful. And of course, it was the Chargers because you have a guy like Herbert who is very talented, right? But the Chiefs prevailed. They came from behind. They made perfect stops. They forced the game into overtime. This is what we're looking for out of the Chiefs. They're a lot better than years before. And I think that the biggest turnaround that you were mentioned because of Steve Spagnuolo, I'm telling you what, it was better than what he did with the Giants. And I am sold, even though I had originally went for the Raiders from the beginning, I am sold that the Chiefs will be in the Super Bowl.
Sander, you think the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl as well?
Yeah, I mean, right now I feel like they're just offensively and defensively both hitting their stride. I think there's not an offense in the AFC that can match with them, and there's not a defense that can go ahead and go around scoring like them. Because remember, since week 7, week 6, they are still a top 3 defense in scoring. So they get takeaways and they have great opportunities with those takeaways. And Mahomes, Mahomes is doing his Mahomes things that, I think a few weeks ago he had over 400. That was against the Chargers, right, Joe? He had over 400 yards.
Yeah.
That's the Mahomes that we're used to seeing. I think right now that the Chiefs are as scary as they've ever been. And, getting Tyreek Hill for this game is really big. Really, really big. So I think that the Chiefs right now are in a good spot. This is the spot that they've been trying to be at all season. We all saw that rough start, and really was because, Mahomes was trying to do so much on offense, but their defense wasn't doing anything. And Spags is doing what Spags always does. I mean, even those runs with the Giants, what was it? You guys were wild card teams reaching Super Bowls. Why? Because your defense got hot at the right time. And I'm not gonna sit here and say that the Chiefs defense has more talent than those guys in New York, because you got Aussie, you got Strahan, but in the Kansas City's defense, you have speed. You have just as much speed on the offense as on the defense. These corners in Kansas City, they fly around. Tyrann Mathieu at a safety, he's one of the best safeties in the league. He knows football. He's one of the smartest defensive players also in the league. So I think right now the Chiefs are far above and beyond number 2 in the AFC. Like, if you compare the Chiefs to the Titans, I'm sorry, the Titans are good and all that, but there's still something that's going to hold you back from picking them against the Chiefs. And that might be Tannehill. And that's the most important position in the football. So I think the Chiefs right now, they are far above and beyond any team in the AFC. I think the only team that could probably give them some trouble is probably the Packers, or if somehow the Bucks make it to the Super Bowl again, maybe those are the only 2 teams that I feel like the Chiefs could have problems with.
All right, Sean, before I ask you about Pittsburgh, your thoughts, is Kansas City the team to beat? Could they go all the way? And then let's break down Pittsburgh. It's obviously time. We know Big Ben is done after this season. This team is still hanging around, though. They'd have to beat the Chiefs today in order to get that done.
Yeah, quickly on the Chiefs. I agree with you guys. I think they got to be the clear-cut favorite. The way their defense is playing, obviously tremendous. And this offense hasn't even really, clicked that well the past, couple weeks since this defense has been in this great run. So I think that they have to be the favorite, especially with the weapons they have, the way the defense is playing. And then on the Steelers, Mike Tomlin as an underdog, especially late in the season, big games like this, he comes out and he gets his teams ready. So I don't think this is going to be an easy game at all. I think the Steelers are going to come out firing. I think that, their offense has gotten off to really slow starts the past couple of weeks. I think they got it going in the second half. So I think they'll have a big second half. I think that they're going to come out firing in the second half. They got to get the ball into their playmakers' hands. I think it's going to be a huge game for Deontay Johnson, one of the more underrated receivers in the league. He's been great all year. Najee Harris, he's going to get the volume. He's been up there in carries all year, so he's going to get a lot of touches. But this defense, TJ Watt has to get over after Patrick Mahomes.
Hell yeah.
It's going to be a huge game for him. Obviously, the Steelers defense isn't the Steelers defense that we've come to know over the past couple of years, especially against the run. It hasn't been great. So I think they're going to give Clyde Edwards-Helaire the ball a lot, but I'm not going to count the Steelers out today because, like I said, Mike Tomlin gets his teams up when he's an underdog, especially in games like this, especially when it has playoff implications on the line. So if I was to bet this game, I'd definitely take Steelers. I think it's plus 10, which is huge.
Yeah,
It is
plus
plus
10.
10.
Plus
Yeah.
10.
Are you serious? I would not do that.
Mike Tomlin as an
But
underdog, so
you know what,
I'd
though?
definitely
I
take
feel
that.
sorry for Ben, though. How many sacks will he surrender? That's all I'm saying,
Probably
because he
3.
can't
Probably
move.
3.
I mean, how many slant plays that he's going to do before that defense is going to catch on?
I have a question
you know
for
what?
Joe.
Maybe. Go ahead.
Joe,
Yeah.
do you think this game? I'll ask all you guys. Do you guys think this game matters?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure because apparently the Steelers, every game going forward might not matter for them. But ask Mike Tomlin if last week mattered to him. Hey, I'll show you a quick video of what he did. Remember that when he kissed the screen? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, guys like Mike Tomlin, man, they don't they don't give up. No matter how bleak the season may look, if there's a chance to make it, he will make sure he fights for that chance. And that's why I love Mike Tomlin. I've always wished for maybe Mike Tomlin ending up a Dallas Cowboys coach, because that would be the guy.
That's when I would actually be scared of the Cowboys. I'll say that, because Mike Tomlin, he might be the best coach in the NFL. He's definitely top 3, I'd say.
I don't say Mike. He is one of the best coaches.
Oh
Yeah, I'm a big Tomlin fan.
All
He's
right.
one of them.
Calm yourselves down.
He's no Joe Judge. I know.
Hey, I got a quick question. I got a quick question. Joe,
Yes.
you know who Don Hudson is?
Do I know who is?
Don Hudson.
Don Hudson. No.
Wide
Yeah, he's
receiver
my
from the
neighbor.
Packers. Wide receiver from the Packers.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so JJ and I had a discussion with some of our friends saying that Devontae Adams might be one of the greatest wide receivers for the Packers of all time. And a Packers fan says, yeah, slow it down, because Don Hudson can't be touched by even the best receivers in the NFL. And I did my research. Don Hudson played in the 30s and the 40s. the same. So do you think that Don Hudson can still hold weight in, with today's players, or at least from players from the 80s and 90s?
No.
Yeah, I'd say Sterling Sharp before I said old Donnie Hudson.
Yeah, because I get it. I get the numbers are there, but this man played in the 30s and 40s, my man. So I'm saying, like,
Dude,
Man,
were
I
they
didn't
even
even-
throwing the football forward at that point? I
They
don't
were
even.
they were playing Army football, man. What you
Yeah.
talking about?
leather
Probably a
helmets,
lot of-
man.
a lot of triple option.
Yeah, no,
and,
it was like rugby. It was a lot of backward lateral.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
I just had to
they
get
do
that out there because
the what's that punt Doug Flutie used to do where you'd bounce it
hell.
on the ground? Yeah, give me a break,
yeah,
dude.
yeah,
Listen,
no, yeah.
Listen, I know the league's gotten soft with the pass interference the last few years, but I mean, come on, those guys weren't even wearing helmets.
Those
I
guys
mean-
don't even run the way these guys run today.
Real quick,
man.
JJ, if you watching, that question was for you, Primo.
Dude, that's hilarious.
There you go.
All right, huge game this week. Ravens, Bengals. These are both teams that are 8-6 coming in. I've been screaming the last couple of weeks that this Ravens team should be 10-4. And the only reason this team is 8-6, and I'm going to say this loud and clear, is because John Harbaugh is a moron. It needs to be said. It needs to be said because it's true. Okay?
Twice.
I'll tell you right now, if this guy goes for 2 with Josh Johnson at quarterback today, I swear to God, he should be fired. Okay?
Josh
If
Johnson,
the third
man.
string quarterback who's been there for 2 weeks is throwing a game-ending 2-point conversion, then clearly he's lost his mind. Because, dude,
He don't want to go to the playoffs.
listen, I'm saying this, and again, Sean, the thing I've heard from people is, well, everybody's heard it's a lost season. They were 10. They should be 10-4. 3 weeks ago, they were the number 1 seed in the AFC. Their coach cost them 2 wins. Where are we at with the Ravens?
Is he getting paid?
Yeah.
Well, very well.
This is going to be tough for them. Obviously, when you go to your backup, Tyler Huntley, he actually played really well. They could have beat the Packers last week, like you said. But when you come down to the third string, veteran who's been on half the teams in the NFL, he just became a Raven. It's going to be tough. I mean, I think this is a must win for the Bengals. Obviously, they have the top spot in the AFC North right now. Big division game, and you're going against a third string. Yeah, it's definitely close. It's definitely close, but I think it's a must win for them. This offense hasn't really been doing great the last couple of weeks. Jamar Chase in the second half of the season hasn't been the Jamar Chase he was in the first half. Joe Mixon has obviously been great. Yeah, but I mean, and this offense hasn't really been showing up. But the defense has been the most surprising part of this team so far this year. Their edge rushers, Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard, have been really good all year. Secondary has been showing out. So that's been the surprising part of this team. And I think that they'll do enough to hold off Josh Johnson. I know that's asking a lot. I'm just kidding. But
hey,
yeah,
Sean.
So I think this Bengals team could definitely score, at least 17 to 21 points to hold off the Ravens. I think it will be a relatively close game because I think John Harbaugh, unlike you, is a good coach and he gets these teams up. Similar to Tomlin, but just too many injuries for this Ravens team. It's definitely a must-win for the Bengals.
Let me remind you, Lamar Jackson was playing back in October when these teams played in Baltimore. And the Bengals, 41, I mean, they lit them up.
Yeah.
Now you got your third stringer. I don't know, man. The way this season is going, Sander, it seems like all the momentum, it has literally gone from John Harbaugh's hand to the Bengals. They pretty much have gift wrapped them the opportunity to go to be home today and to embarrass the Ravens and take control of this division finally.
Yeah, 1,000% right, Joe. And Sean, is Vontaze Burfict on the defense for the Bengals? Is he playing for that Bengals defense that they're looking so elite right now? No, I don't. It's not Vontaze
anymore.
Burfict, right? All right, geez, wow. But no. Listen, guys, this division, this NFC North division, the AFC North division has been crazy all season because they're literally last place. If they win 2 games, they're in first. If in first place, if you lose 1 game, you're in last. It's one of those. It's like so interchangeable, and it's been like that all season. And the Bengals, literally, I remember week 6, week 7, I was listening to people calling the Bengals the best team in the AFC at one point. the hottest team in the AFC, and then a few weeks later, it's the Ravens because they had the number 1 spot, Joe. And then a week after that, it's the Patriots. So this division has been given away so much. It's kind of like that girlfriend that nobody wants to keep, but everybody wants to date. You know what I'm saying? The division, nobody wants to take her home to mama, but everybody wants to, take her on a date here and there. And that's how this division has been. It's so ugly. I don't understand why, because the Bengals all season, they haven't dealt with as many injuries as any other team in this division. You had the Browns suffering from injuries from COVID. You had the Ravens having 30,000 players, on IR all season. The Steelers with Grandpa Big Ben throwing the ball. The Bengals have had every single opportunity to run away with this division, but I feel like Joe and guys, the coaching has held this team a little bit back. I think Zach Taylor is the coach for the Bengals. I think he hasn't fully understood the concept of you have every single team looking at you like, damn, you're the new kid on the block. You're the new young buck, and you're full of life because the Bengals, Jabbar Chase, Burrow, Mixon is still young. That defense is flying. That defense flies. Hendrickson, I keep on saying Hendrickson was probably one of the best free agent signees for any team this season because he's been the difference maker. When they need a pass rush, he's there. When they need a sack, when they need to stop the run, he's there. But they're only 8-6. And I feel like that's because the coaching has held back this talent. Once Zach Taylor gets this team on the right path, I feel like when they lit up the Ravens earlier this season, that was all tail signs of how good this Bengals team could be. Because when you could not just beat a divisional opponent, but beat the shit out of a divisional opponent, that puts them in notice, So the Bengals have had every opportunity to take control. I think the coaching has held them back, just like the Ravens and Harbaugh has held the Bengals back. But I still think the Bengals win this game.
Ovi, listen, I know you've got some kind of something. I need to know that the Ravens have beaten the Bengals 65 times in a row in Cincinnati. Watch this. Ovi, who's going to win this game and why? And do your thing where you tell me things I need to know that I probably didn't know before. You ever see him do this, Sander? You're like
all the time,
Bengals. The last 9 Bengals-Ravens games have been decided by 2 points when it rains on a Thursday, and you're like, what?
Yep.
So what's going on, Obi? What's the deal on this one?
Well, on this one, I do have to say, don't swear. Huh? Yeah, did I swear?
No,
I didn't swear. I didn't swear, but I do swear that the Bengals will win today. I don't trust Josh Johnson, man. And if you guys followed the all 4 downs, we started with the XFL season, and Josh Johnson was with the LA Wildcats. And man, he had that team stunk, but he was getting hot at the end. But then the season was over because of the pandemic. But this guy's 35 years old. He might still got some gas in him. But I'm just not going to hold my breath on this one. However, the Bengals are banged up in the defense. They lost a linebacker who's out for the season with a torn ACL. What else is going on there? But Burrow's going to be hot today. He's going to be hot. And if you're on the fantasy, you want DraftKings, you want to pick him and Chase together because they're going to get you some points today. It's going to be a slow start, but an awesome finish. I do got the Bengals. I don't have more theories for you just because the Ravens total team is so banged up.
I have a
but
theory.
Harbaugh has a way to motivate them and play hard. And that's what I love about those Ravens. But today, this game is not the game that I have to give you a history.
All right. Listen, before we go any further, Jared gave us his puncher's chance, NFL edition. Let's make some cash here, people.
Yes.
Here's how you want to play this. You want to parlay the Falcons and the Cowboys. All right. And then you're going to round robin the Bills, the Saints, the Ravens, the Vikings, and the Jets.
Oof.
Okay. Write this down. You don't have to understand what I'm telling you here.
Yes.
Just make the bets. Parlay those 2 games. Round robin those 5. Jared's always
want me to pick the Jets against the Jaguars?
Yeah.
You want to go against Jared Jones? That's your business.
That's an ugly game.
I don't even want to touch that one.
Who's less ugly, guys? Who's less ugly?
But I'm digging the Bills. I give them props with the Bills. The Saints, they got Ian Book. That's dude. He came from Notre Dame. He's a rookie.
Yep.
I think people underestimated him, even though he's a 4th-round pick. But I think he's going to be the starter. He's going to be the future of the Saints. Mark my words. So I understand that the quarterbacks are hurt, but this is the guy that they drafted. This is the guy that's going to lead the Saints. So I'm all in for the Saints. As far as the Ravens, again, I got to look at the spread on that game, man. Oh boy, +7. Ooh,
I just say this, man, real quick with my theory. If the Ravens were 100% healthy, we would be looking at this game 100% differently.
yes, absolutely,
100% differently.
100% differently.
It is what
All
it
right.
is.
I think Lamar Jackson is the key guy, man. That will change everything. 180 all the way. Hey, put that back, Joe. I'm sorry. One more time.
You
One more time,
need to see it
please.
one more time. I could
No,
just email this to you.
oh, absolutely,
Ah,
absolutely.
Screenshots and
But I'm gonna
all
be a
if you think
hater.
So
I'm gonna be a hater.
Do it.
I'm not picking the Cowboys. I'm a hater. I got my hater flag on.
You don't have to make any money this week. That's fine. I don't know why. I don't know why you wouldn't. But speaking of, to me, this here is the game of the week.
Yes.
The Bills and the
Definitely.
Patriots. The
At New
8-6
England.
Bills, 9-5 Patriots. Bills have the number 1 defense in the NFL, and the Patriots are at number 3. We saw what happened just a couple weeks ago when these two teams met in Orchard Park when Mac threw the ball 3 times.
Phenomenal
And they
game by Mac.
just ran the ball down the Bills' throats. The number 1 defense in the NFL, Sander, they just pounded the football with Harris and goodness gracious. There's so many guys. I can't even think of all their names. And they're all Stevenson and who's the other one?
Throw Brandon Bolden.
Brandon Bolden.
There you go. I was going to say, I have all of them on my fantasy team, and it's just a matter of trying to guess who's going to get the carries this week. Sander, let me ask you this. Can the Buffalo Bills figure out a way to end this tailspin they've been in against the great Bill Belichick? I'll also point out in 19 trips to Foxborough, to this new stadium, they're 3-16. They do not play well in New England. Is there any chance, honestly,
There's
of Josh
100%.
Allen and company? All right, let's talk about it.
There's a good chance. There's a good chance in this one because I know the records and history books say otherwise, but this game, you're not going to have to worry about those crazy, horrendous weather conditions that was last time they played. I feel like the Bills will be able to do more on offense, especially flinging the ball with Josh Allen. He still was able to fling the ball. I think he went 15 for 30 in that terrible weather game. So he was still able to throw a little bit, whereas Mac Jones wasn't trusted to throw more than 5 times. I think the game plan is going to be different for the Patriots because they're not going to run the ball 50,000 times and only run the ball. They're going to be able to move the ball somewhat, trust Mac Jones a little bit more. Mac Jones, Joe, I've been iffy on him in the early parts of the season, but you know the way you've pushed him and I've been watching him, he's hands down the best rookie quarterback so far this year, and I'll give him that. But this is the type of game that he's going to show some of that rookiness that I said the other day when I was on. He's going to show some of those mistakes like he did in his last game, penalties, nonsense penalties that, you know, whenever you see penalties on the Patriots, you know Bill Belichick is like, what the hell? We practiced all this. I think some of that's going to show. I think some of that youngness is going to show as well. I think the Bills are going to take control of this division because they know we've been waiting for this all year. We've been waiting for this for the past 2-3 years. We cannot let some rookie show up and take control of this division because if the Bills get swept by the Patriots, by a rookie quarterback, might as well call it a season and just book your vacation because Bill Belichick is just going to run through you every single time. They need this win more than anything. I think this is the type of win that's going to show the Bills we can make a run to the playoffs if we get through this team in New England. If you don't, then guess what? If you do make the playoffs and you face New England again at New England, what's going to happen, guys? We all seen this movie before with Bill Belichick. If you want to beat the Patriots, this has to happen now. If you want to make sure that people recognize you as the number one seed in that division, it has to happen now. Because if not, we're just gonna remember the Bills as that wagon that they're always have been and just crumble at the end.
Sean, if this Bills team loses today 8-7, I don't think anybody would have anticipated that kind of a season from this team. If the Pats win, they go to 10-5. Nobody had this team penciled in for double-digit wins at all. Even the most loyal Pats fans probably didn't see this coming. I think you think the Bills are probably going to win this game today, Sean, but I don't. I think New England's going to win. Why don't you break down how New England gets it done today?
The way New England is going to win is with the defense. I think it's going to be taken away. Stephon Diggs and Dawson Knox. We obviously know that the Bills are not a great running team with Devin Singletary and Zach Moss. Their best rushing threat, really, I think, is Josh Allen when they do design runs for him. So Bill Belichick, what he does best with his defense is take away your best options. So I think he's going to do a lot of nickel. I think he's not going to load the box. I think he's going to have a lot of players out in the secondary out there and try and take away the passing game. And I think that's where they're going to have success. And it's going to be a big game for Mac Jones, too. I think that, obviously he wasn't asked to do a lot.
Hell yeah.
I know you like that, Joe.
Tell me you don't see a scenario where Mac throws the ball 45 times today. Just because that's exactly what nobody thinks is going to happen. So all the more reason for Bill to do it.
The unpredictable. I think it definitely could happen. I don't know about 45 times.
I hope not, but again, I'm not advocating for it, but would it shock you if they ran the ball a dozen times today and they threw the ball 40 some odd? It wouldn't surprise me because of the weather.
Yeah, Bill and Josh McDaniels, they do a great job of creating the game plan, and I think that they catch you off guard definitely. And while the Patriots rely on their running game to get Mac Jones in situations where they play action and stuff like that, I think that they could rely on the passing game today. Obviously it's a tough Bills secondary, but with Tre'Davious White out, they're going against some young corners, so I definitely could see that happening. And like you said, I do have the Bills winning today. The Patriots haven't been great at home this year. They're 3-4. They're a lot better on the road. And I think this is a desperation game for the Bills. So I think the Bills are going to come out on top. But I definitely could see it going either way. I agree. I think this is the best game of the weekend. Huge implications, obviously, for the AFC East. But there's definitely a path for both these teams to win. And I think it comes down to the Patriots defense if they want to win this game against the Bills.
Ovi, who you got in this one? And you got any info on me? You got one of these again? I gave you one. The Bills 3-16 all time at Gillette Stadium.
Well, every second meeting, they tend to score higher on both teams.
So the over.
So you got the first and second, right? I'm not picking a winner this game. I am going over. Okay. So the over right now is 43.5. The points actually got slimmer to 1. The Patriots are favorite, -1 point, just because, if I'm not mistaken, they're at New England.
They're home, yeah.
So, I will be safe to say that if you don't know who to pick, just go over the points. Okay. We didn't see that much offense because of the weather conditions. It's going to be 41 degrees with clear skies. I do see that Jones could throw the ball at least 23 times, right? And of course, the Buffalo Bills, they have a awesome passing passing offense. So I do see a game that it could be both teams will be over 20 points.
Yeah,
I love it.
Sanders is playing as well, so that's another weapon added for the Bills because he was questionable going into this game. Having Sanders and Stephon Diggs with Dawson Knox, that air, like Ovi said, that air attack is definitely could put up some points.
How about a 27-24 victory?
I like that. That sounds about right. Ooh. All right, Sander, let's talk for a minute here about fantasy. You've got some choices for us this week. Who do we need in our starting lineup?
All right, so basically, if you're playing this far into your fantasy season, you're in the championship rounds or in the playoffs. So right now, these are the guys that are going to take you either to the promised land or to the next round. Ready? At number 1, I got my guy at quarterback, Jalen Hurts. Now, let me tell you something about Jalen Hurts, because he's been quietly been a top 10 quarterback all season, especially in fantasy. This man has given you over 20 points.
3rd and 6.
You know, he's been a top 10 fantasy, like I said, all year quarterback, except for 1 week where he got hurt. And I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. I know, Ovi, you know, you're new here for me, but you're a Giants fan. I like to shit on the Giants sometimes. And the Eagles are playing the Giants. So, you know, that's all it is. Over 20 points for Jalen Hurts. I got you locked in for that. At number 2, oh, all right. This is kind of scary because, you know, I don't like really putting my players out there from my team, because whenever I root for my players on my teams, they end up just, you know, wetting the bed and giving you a nice 0. But listen, guys, Amari Cooper is playing the Washington football team, who ranks second to last in pass defense. Real astonishing stat for me, because we all know the Washington defense was really good last season, but they're terrible this season. Secondary is all banged up. Dallas is, you know, they're trying to get back on track offensively. I think this is one of those games where Amari Cooper shows out, because the last time the Cowboys played the Washington football team, you know, Cooper had a touchdown. He went for like 16, 17 points. So I'm expecting that. I'm expecting 16 to 20 points from Cooper. Lock that in. At number 3, I'm going with a guy who I've never really heard of until about 3-4 weeks ago, and he plays for the Detroit Lions. Yes, you're like, why would you pick a player on that sorry-ass team? But guys, the past 3 weeks, Ron St. Brown has been on fire. He's been getting over 10 targets thrown to him for the past 3 weeks. He's had over 10 catches 2 out of the last 3 weeks. So he's been blowing up. I'm going to give you some of the points outputs that he's put out. 24, 15, and 23 past 3 weeks. He's the focal point of this offense, and I still think that right now he's riding the hot hand. And guess what, guys? I have a trend of picking players that are playing against Atlanta, because Atlanta's defense is so trash. So expect at least 25 points from St. Brown this week. Book it. Jalen Hurts, Amari Cooper, and Ahmad St. Brown for this week's fantasy lock 'em. Set it, baby.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Sander.
Yes,
and as
sir.
you can see scrolling across the bottom, we'll get into this in a minute, but there are some very notable names that are out for this week. So we will talk about that. So you get your fantasy lineup all set up. Monday Night Football, Dolphins Saints. This game is much more important due to the fact that both of these teams, Saints started 5-2 and have found themselves at 7-7. Meanwhile, the Dolphins were 1-7. Never has a team ever in NFL history started a season 1-7 and then won 7 games in a row. This would be an absolute first. If you're the Dolphins heading to Louisiana, to the Superdome, Obi, I wouldn't normally feel great about going to New Orleans. That defense, we saw what they just did to Tom Brady. But Ian Book, the Notre Dame product, one of the great quarterbacks, by the way, Notre Dame history for that matter, is making his NFL debut today. Gonna be tough, I think. By the way, Alvin Kamara is the backup quarterback today in the event that something happens to Ian Book. How are things looking down in the swamp? How are we doing, Ovi?
So who's worse, them or the Ravens? Listen, I followed Ian Book for the last 2 years with Notre Dame. This guy he's a star, and everyone wants to talk about Mac Jones right now, of course, but they were disrespecting him. Everyone's talking about Justin Fields, right? Everyone was talking about what's his name, Trey Lance, which I've never got to see Trey Lance play in college, right? So, but no one was talking about Ian Book. This guy's talented. He's been coached very well. He's going to take this team to the promised land, okay? This game, I feel sorry. Yeah, the Dolphins, they got that winning streak. That comes to the end on Monday Night Football. The Saints will win. Ian Book, he is the guy, and I know you said that the backup quarterback's the running back, right? But fear not. He's not going to get injured in this game. He's going to give what the Saints been missing all along, and as an actual quarterback, he is the future.
Oh, my God. Did you really just say that?
Yes, I did.
Taking
I
them to
really
the
did.
promised
You
land.
could,
To the
you could
Wow.
look at
promised.
not this. I mean, look, I'm talking about in the
no,
future. I'm not talking about right now.
Obviously, you
Silly
don't
rabbit.
mean this year. You don't mean this year. You're not
Look,
that
The
insane.
defense are going to stop the Dolphins. Look what happened last week. They beat the Buccaneers 9-0. Okay. Before that, I mean, they beat the Jets 30-9. I know it's the Jets, but
I mean, the
anyways,
Bucks
you
did
got
have their guys
you got
missing.
yeah. But here's the Dolphins coming in. They're hot. They're over their heads. They think they got a chip at their shoulders, thinking, "Oh, it's just the Saints. It ain't gonna
Over
happen.
their heads?
It's not gonna happen."
Brian Flores coach team over their head? Nah, man, I don't think so.
Jared Jones made a great point. He says, Obi and I are in agreement on Ian Book. That might be worth paying attention to. I think what he's saying is if he also thinks it, then maybe.
Maybe?
You on your own, Ovi. He
Oh,
wasn't
come
backing
on,
it
man.
up. He wasn't
Jared-
backing it up. 'cause you
JJ
did
knows. JJ knows what happened a couple of weeks ago. That when I say it's black and white, it's black and white. It's gonna happen. I'm telling you. So you want him in the fantasy right now,
By the
even though
way,
you haven't seen him.
This is not for nothing. Let's talk about these Dolphins for a minute, Sean. You know, they were the season got off to a terrible start, and then in the month of November, for all the things, Tua Tagovailoa had one of the greatest months completion percentage wise in the history of the game. Only Peyton Manning had ever had a better month of completion percentage. And with that, and with this guy each passing week playing better and better, Jalen Waddle might be the best receiver that came out of that draft, slipping by Jamar just a tiny bit of late. Sean, how, and is Tua the guy going forward in Miami?
He's definitely the guy going forward. He's been super efficient.
Don't
Over
give him
this
that
stretch,
face, Ovi.
over this winning
Don't give him
streak.
that
He's definitely better than Ian Book. I'll tell you that much. But I think he is the guy. He's super efficient. He's been taking care of the ball. Jalen Waddle, like you said, has been great. Mike Gesicki is one of the more underrated tight ends in the league. So they have some weapons on offense. And this defense has been in a tear lately. They have, Xavier Howard, one of the best corners in the league. Jalen Phillips, their rookie edge rusher, has been tremendous. Javon Holland, a rookie safety, has been really good. So they've been taking the ball away. They've been holding teams to not a lot of points. So I think that's the biggest reason for this winning streak is their defense is really turning around. We saw at that game against the Ravens where they absolutely dominated Lamar that whole night, and they've just continued ever since then. So this Dolphins team, I mean, they're playing great football at the right time. This is when you want to be in that winning streak. Obviously, if they didn't get off to that 1-7 start, they'd be in a much better position. But I think they're in a great spot. I think they're going to go down to New Orleans and beat them. Obviously, the Saints have a great defense, but they're going to be without Demario Davis, their leader of that defense, the play caller for that defense. So I think that's a huge loss. So I think it will be a pretty good game. I think it will be relatively low scoring. But I think the Dolphins are going to come out on top and win their 7th game in a row, which is pretty impressive.
Sander, I thought you had your pencil up, like you had something you wanted to say. You got something?
Well, I'm just going to say this. The Dolphins right now, I think they're the better team. They're the hotter team going into this game. And, you touched on Waddle. I got him in fantasy, so I'm hoping he balls out. But still, guys, this whole run has been predicated on Tua's quarterback play, and the defense. Brian Flores having that defense, running around. Earlier this season, they weren't looking as good as the defense was looking really bad, allowing a lot of points, a lot of yardage. They bunkered down. I think they have the talent right now to maybe squeak in with one of those final wild card spots because they're that good of a team, I believe. I think they're that good of a team. Tua, I was so iffy on him in the beginning of the year, especially with that first year. Yeah, I mean, right, 1-7, right. But it was more so because they were really 1-7 because a lot of his play was really bad play. He had a 400-yard game, but he also had 3 interceptions. He had 4 interception games, to go along with that. So the fact that he's been able to turn around, it's really shown his progression as a quarterback. I think the Dolphins and that Deshaun Watson talk definitely played a toll on their early, woes, because Tua went into it like, damn, they don't believe in me. They drafted me one, you know what I'm saying? But they don't believe in me. So I think that had a lot to go with his mental woes, but they've turned it around. And I really do. I give a lot of credit to Brian Flores because Brian Flores is one of those Bill Belichick tree guys, and he's a no-nonsense guy. So I don't think that Brian Flores' team is going to be over their head. I think the reason why they're on this winning streak is because he has them in check and not over their head. Last season, a lot of predictions for the Dolphins went into this season based off last season. Their defense was a top 5 defense last year. Going into this season, a lot of people had the Dolphins, maybe battling for that second spot in that division, which is crazy. But the fact that they've been able to turn it around, I give a lot of credit to Brian Flores. He's doing a well job. He's coaching exceptionally well, and that's all credit to him and the quarterback play from Tua. So I think right now they're the hotter team. The Saints have been stumbling, even though their defense is always going to be that good defense. I think that their offense, though, I'm not going to put too much stock in Book, man. I'm sorry, man. He's a 4th round guy. Hasn't had play at all this season. I don't think he's going to be that good. I think he'll be all right, but I think that the team right now is the Dolphins, and they're gonna win this game.
Ovi, I'll give you last word to Ovi before we're going to do our fantasy in and out. We'll go around the horn and let you know
two things I want to point out real quick is like they don't have a game plan for Ian Book. They don't know who Ian Book is, which makes it harder for a defensive coordinator to try to plan right. Okay. Second, if you want to do comparison, the Saints demolished the Jets. I can't say the same thing for the Dolphins when they play the Jets twice. And in their winning streak, they play the Texans. Yeah, they got by the Ravens, but they played the Jets, Panthers, Giants, and Jets. That's their 6-game winning streak. You talk about a team that just shut out the Tampa Bay Bucks. They shut out Tom Brady. It don't matter who was starting, who was not. It was Tom Brady. And they're home. And their coaching staff is back from COVID-19.
They've also had Tom Brady's number for a while now.
But you're right. You're absolutely right. So it doesn't matter. Look, the bottom line is that they're going to find a way to win. And I'm not sold on Miami Dolphins. So, yes, the hype is there. Oh, they won 6 in a row. First time. Yay. It comes to the end. There's a stop sign at New Orleans.
I sense a little wager going.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah,
I did. I waged already. So what's going on, baby?
Put it on the board, Joe. Put it on the board.
I'm gonna put you on my highlight reel, Sanders.
All right, let us, gentlemen, before we wrap this up for today, let's take a look at and we'll each grab a position, and we're gonna tell you who's out. So if you have this guy in your starting lineup, you're going to want to get him out ASAP. Quarterbacks that are out for today include Teddy Bridgewater, Denver Broncos, Justin Fields, and Andy Dalton, both out in Chicago. That means there's going to be a Nick Foles sighting. Jared Goff is out for the Lions. We just mentioned Taysom Hill out for the Saints. Ian Book starts in his place. And Lamar Jackson and Tyler Huntley are both out for the Baltimore Ravens.
As far as the Titans is concerned, the tight ends. Woo! Man, I got to watch my words here. The tight ends, ladies and gentlemen. Pat Freiermuth from Pittsburgh, he's out. Ryan Griffith from the New York Jets. Tyler Higbee from the Los Angeles Rams. Adam Troutman from the New Orleans Saints. And Darren Waller from the Las Vegas Raiders. All of them are out today.
Yeah, as far as the wide receivers go, a lot of big lists today. For the Bills, Cole Beasley, their big slot guy, is going to be out. Gabriel Davis, who had a great game last week, is going to be out. I think Emmanuel Sanders would be a go, though.
He's going. He's going.
Yeah, Texans, Brandon Cooks, their best player on offense. That'll be tough going against the Chargers. For the Jags, they're going to be without a utility guy, Laviska Shenault. That's going to hurt going against the Jets. Zay Jones will be out for the Raiders. Mike Williams is on the COVID list for the Chargers, so that's a big loss for them. Damn. Kendrick Bourne for the Patriots. One of Mac Jones' favorite receivers is going to be out, so big loss there. Jamison Crowder for the Jets will be out against the Jags. Rondale Moore. Oh, well, yeah, we already got to that game. Rondale Moore is out, but for the Bucks, a lot of losses. Chris Godwin out for the season, obviously. Mike Evans with the hamstring. Antonio Brown, Jalen Darden, and Brashad Perryman. So pretty much their whole receiving core.
Receiver today for the Buck.
Joe, I got a
Scotty Miller, big Scotty Miller day. So
put Scotty Miller in your starting lineup. Good for 15 catches for 220 yards and 3 scores, I bet.
Yeah, maybe a big day for Gronk.
Wishful thinking, Joe.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a heavy list of receivers out today. So make sure you make those lineup changes if you're still in the fantasy playoffs.
Yeah, definitely, man. And for running backs out, man, you got a short list. You got Ramondre Stevenson from the Patriots out. Antonio Gibson from the Washington football team is out, and Austin Eckler is gonna be out, which is good for me because I'm playing him in my fantasy playoff game. And another one that you want to keep in mind that's out for the rest of the year, I believe Fournette is out for the rest of the year too. So yeah, big loss. So
Fournette
Man,
is
rough go
definitely
in
out.
Tampa. Jeez.
yeah, man, that's what I'm saying. That's why earlier in the show when you guys mentioned Tampa, I went like this because I'm not afraid of them like I was before. You know, too many injuries on that offensive side.
But, listen, this injury report thing, I think it's so important because I got stuck Thursday night with Rondell Moore in my starting lineup. And, I didn't get he was out until I couldn't make my change. And that's going to hurt me.
Yeah.
That's going to hurt me in my battle for last place in literally, Peter, you're not even going to believe this. I'm fighting for last place in 3 fantasy leagues.
Damn, Joe.
In the one that you and I are in with JJ,
the CMG.
I'm about to face off with you for a championship.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully.
You're looking good. I got JJ bagged today. He might win the day, but he's gonna lose
he went into this week down 30 points. Down 30. So it's a 2-round 1 game. So it's just too much of a loss, man. I felt so bad.
Every league that I'm on that's on the sleeper app, I'm in last place. The ESPN app with these guys, it's been me, you, and JJ literally from the onset of the season. We all got off to like 6-0 starts, and it's been
100%.
It's been a runaway ever since.
I was so
bad
bad in that league.
Guys, real quick, I drafted Deebo Samuel 104th, okay? 104th. And I drafted Cooper Kupp 54th. Okay? So I have 2 of the top 5 receivers in the league right now.
That's why he's the fantasy guy here. That's why he has.
I'm glad that you are mentioning all these names because I'm gonna take all those names that you mentioned. I'm gonna put on my DraftKings, man. So wish me luck as I play my fantasy.
Definitely. Hey, Amon-Ra St. Brown, for real. That dude has been legit the past 3 weeks. Targets, over 10 targets each of the last 3 games. He's really been their live wire on offense. So keep it going. They're playing against Atlanta. Every time someone plays Atlanta, they have like one of their best fantasy games. So
speaking of DraftKings, do you guys all use that app? Because if you do, if you don't, I should say you should jump on that because just put it like this: we've had some conversations with DraftKings in regards to this. So
okay, even better.
That should be everyone's preferred app for the time being. We'll have more when there's more to have. All right.
Exactly.
That is going to do it for us for this week. Make sure you visit hhwshow.com to get all the latest from the NFL. It'll be a great website and a lot of great information, articles, and everything that you need to know. You can go to clevercrestmedia.com for a ton of other sports podcasts, as well as a bunch of other genres, including true crime and pop culture, news talk, stuff like that. Clevercrestmedia.com, hhwshow.com are the websites we'd love for you to check out. Also, make sure you give us a follow on the social media. It certainly goes a long way. We want to wish everyone a wonderful Christmas. I hope you got a chance to spend some time with your family. Definitely a weird year this year, but what are you going to do? You make the most of it and you move on. So, gentlemen, I want to thank you both for getting up, or the 3 of you for getting up early here on a Sunday morning so we could do a little NFL pre-gaming. For Sean Scanlon, Sandor Arroyo Sanchez, and Ovi Muniz, I am Joe Aguirre. Enjoy the football games. We'll catch you back here next Sunday morning at 10 a.m. for the CMG Sports NFL pregame show.